I'm doing this. I'm doing this. We're on, Pookie.
Hey, baby!
Okay. So, we didn't play the intro because we don't want to freeze. Can people hear
us? I'm so sad. This is how I get into the mood and I dance a little bit.
Stephanie can put it in for playback or something. Hi!
Hi, good morning. Wait a minute. There's something on the screen that makes it look like I have some sort of red growth on my face.
Okay, so I don't exactly know whether everything is working, so give us some feedback. Let us know that you can actually hear us, see us, that kind of stuff.
Should I sing the intro?
I know you want to.
Welcome to Relationship Rehab. I am Lee.
And I am Paul.
And this week we're talking about getting married. This is why I wore red.
Okay, I see. You wore red. I'm
a Hindu.
You're a Hindu? Is that it? I see.
Yes. So, I'm wearing my lounger today. I don't understand why every week I get dressed up. I'm in my living room, so why should I get dressed? I noticed that.
Yes, I actually, when we first started this, would wear like long pants and put on shoes and the whole bit because you guys can see my feet, right?
Yeah. And now I've reduced, but I did wear underwear, which is nice.
You're lucky I'm wearing pants at all. You don't know. Pants. I may.
He's not wearing pants. So let's see. What are we going to talk about today? Oh, we're talking about weddings today. But first, before we do that, Paul and I write a little blog called coupledom.com, and in this blog we talk about relationships. Marriage, parenting, your relationship with yourself, with God, with everybody. You know, relationships, period. One of the things that we're pretty vocal about, because it's our blog and we can do whatever the hell we want to, is we write about issues with marriage equality and gay and lesbian issues and stuff like that. They're issues that are dear to our heart. We have many friends who are gay and lesbian, and hell, we wouldn't be together if it wasn't for a gay man who, kind of yented us together.
Kind of?
No, totally. So, because everybody else is doing it, I mean, we do want to say something today about all of the suicides that have been happening over the last few weeks due to bullying, and because it's so sad. I mean, as a mental health professional, we know that suicides are contagious. Suicide, if you look at the statistics on suicide, you know that what happens is that if somebody commits suicide in a certain community, that there will be others to follow. It's almost as if depression, the people that are suffering from depression and that terrible pain, see the suicide as an out, and when somebody gives them that suggestion, by committing suicide, and then and in these cases a lot of them get to see that there's this outpour of, oh my God, whatever. It spurs other people on. And so on one hand, as a mental health professional, I'm saying just stop talking about it, but as an advocate, I can't see how we can stop talking about it.
It's too important.
It's too important. It's time for all this shit to stop. This is ridiculous, and I feel that it's coming to a head. All this bullying. The reason why we don't stop little kids from calling other kids names is because we used to do it. Let's be honest about it. And we see it as something justified. It's like, oh yeah, kids do that. Kids are cruel. And we dismiss their behavior with this, oh yeah, I used to do that, and look at me, how wonderful I am, and how wonderful I turned out. So you're okay with it, And today's blog, we wrote about, the stuff that we used to do. And one of them is using, the F word, and I'm not saying, the one about sex. I'm saying
we use that one all the time.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the one that people use to refer to gay people. We use the F word up until the other day, until someone decided you can't use that word anymore. And we referred to something as gay as if something was stupid, you referred to it as gay up until the other day. Okay? So we're just getting the idea that we need to have respect for that community, even though you adore them and you embrace them and you have no you don't bully them. Those are words of bullying. Now we're seeing that little kids aren't even accepting effeminate kids or butch girls and things like that. They don't accept them. They bully them. Why? Because parents at home are talking crap, and they make it perfectly acceptable to do those things. That these kids find that the solution is killing themselves only leads us to believe that their parents don't accept them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's just so incredibly sad, and that we don't see it, really for what it is. It's a hate crime, period. Because if the kid was one of those like protected classes, like when we talk about animals, those protected species, like Jew or black or something like that, then you would be all up in it. It's like, oh my God, he's being a racist. Oh my God, what do you call a kid who he's a genderist? He's a sexualist. I don't know what you would call that. So we call it bullying, which is a bunch of bullshit. Bullying
beyond that.
Bullying is I'm bigger than you. I'm gonna take advantage of you. This is beyond bullying. This is I don't like who you are.
Mm-hmm.
That is a hate crime. So anyway, I used to chase boys and kiss them in the school year, 2nd grade. I cried 10 years later. I ran into him. He was gay. You made him gay.
Okay, so off of that.
That's okay. First guy I ever dated ended up being gay. I had a rash of bad decisions in my college life. I was one of those F-hags, so I ended up with a lot of men friends that were very cute, but so not into me. But I got to dance a lot. I liked that though. At the end of the day, that was a good thing. I would go to the gay clubs and have a great time. Speaking of which, he doesn't watch, so unfortunately, if you were watching, I would definitely reminisce with our friend. But anyway, anything else we want to say? Please just stop.
Yeah.
If you see anybody bullying or being mean to somebody gay, beat the crap out of them. I'm tired of this shit. It pisses me off. It's like, we have a disabled child, okay? If somebody attacked her or said something to her, I frickin' kill them, okay? The fact that these people get away with saying these things and doing these things, like that asshole over at Michigan, he's an assistant state attorney, right? It's on my Facebook. I posted it yesterday. Anderson Cooper interviewed the moron the other day, that he has a full-on campaign against a student from the University of Michigan because the kid is gay and he's in student council. And he's calling him a Nazi and a liar. And he's okay with that because he calls it a political campaign to call somebody those things all because he's gay. And he works for the state. And we're okay with that. And his boss says, well, I can't speak to his, what does he say? I can't speak to his personal judgment. This is a matter of opinion? When is racism considered opinion? We tried firing a government official, a month and a half ago because she might have maybe said something racist. And we're okay with this guy doing that. See what I'm saying? Anyway.
Okay.
I can't watch iCarly. I'm not allowed to. I have like this restraining order that my husband put on me.
Yeah,
because I sit there
and the cursing and the yelling. It's too much. It's not good for the kids.
It's not a good environment for my children.
Right.
Can you imagine sitting there? Yeah, that's really how I watch those things. I can't watch the Disney Channel at all. Once they put like live people on it, I can't watch it. I can't watch it. I lose it. Yeah. Once the cartoons I'm fine with. As soon as I hear like a human being talking, it's like change the channel. Doesn't matter where I am in the house. We only have one TV, but if I hear it, that's it. We're done. Oh my goodness, I am so hot!
Yes. This is all generated.
I know.
I
know. This is good though. You know, I think I'm PMSing too, so I'm just getting it all out.
Point it that way. Point it that way. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, weddings! Okay, so why did we decide to talk about weddings? Because we've been talking to a lot of places about destination weddings and things like that. You know, we've been married for almost 22 years now.
Wow.
And so, you know, we always toyed with the idea of like, you know, renewing our vows and doing something destination-y and all that stuff. So we've been talking to a lot of different places about that, and also about how much more easier it would just be just to go off and do that. I mean, I think on Monday I wrote like a letter to like a prospective bride, and just said go elope, you know, and go do something destination-y, and just don't do anything at home.
Things you need to know is, let's just start out with our wedding.
Oh.
And what it looked like. We had the traditional wedding.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Did we want the traditional wedding? Yay.
No,
not even a little bit. I was never the girl to have those fantasies. I didn't have the fantasy of the big white dress and the white wedding and all that. You know, I expected to be, you know, Mother Earth therapist lady in my 40s and maybe get married on a beach in my 40s. Not, you know, 23-year-old semi-virginal. I don't know how to put it. Girl getting married at the church where I got my first communion and confirmation. I never thought that would be me.
No, see, yes, semi. Near.
There was really, I mean, yeah, there was nothing virginal.
So, see, when we got married, my mom and her dad were the more pain in the assiest ones. Okay? Both of them had okay? And by way of the wedding size and that kind of stuff, they were both the ones that said it's going to be, you know, bigger than what we necessarily wanted.
Our idea at that point was just to go to Lake Tahoe, because we lived in Los Angeles. We were born and raised in Los Angeles. So we wanted to go to Lake Tahoe and get married up there, and, you know, just whoever can come, and then, you know, we'd come back home and have a party and whatever.
Well, my mom told us point blank that the wedding, that the reception is for the parents and not for us. I mean, she said it just like that. And her dad basically did a mom paying for it, and I'm inviting a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Which he did.
Well, you know, and
friends, banking friends.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, I have to be honest about it, because when my sister got married, she had a wedding of over 300 and something people.
She had the
big wedding. I did not have the big wedding. I had the average wedding. Because hers was at the Bonaventure in Los Angeles. She got married at the chapel at Loyola Marymount, where she had to get special dispensation from the Cardinal of Los Angeles because they don't do weddings there. She had the Prince Charles edition Rolls Royce, you know, white Rolls Royce, come and pick her up. You know, she had like 14 women as her maid. I ain't kidding you. And traditional, you know, she got married in 1980, I remember, and she had every color of the rainbow in the, not of the rainbow, mostly in the red spectrum, because it was like the violet to dusty rose thing. And I didn't have that, you know, because I refused that because he wanted to do that. And
no, my father-in-law would have.
Yeah, no, because he asked, he goes, you know, did you check the Bonaventure? And I'm like, dude, I ain't gonna do that. It's just too much for me. I didn't want that. So, you know, I didn't even want what we had. I wanted to get married. I just didn't want that.
Okay. But we actually had to. Our wedding was the compromise. just to get an idea.
Well, mostly compromise.
Yeah,
I mean, things like
between in sizes and that kind of stuff.
You know, I mean, we knew we were in deep shit when his mother went to the library and came back with all the Emily Post etiquette wedding books,
like 9 books.
And it's like I looked at her and I went, "Sweetie, I'm Cuban. We don't do that shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We don't. We have our way of doing things, and so you know, Paul and I basically ran our reception like it was a Mission Impossible operation.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, ready, go, and then we did everything. We said hello to everybody, kissed everybody, did a little dance, did the money dance. Because that's very Latin. You do the money dance.
I was okay. I knew the money dance. That wasn't just Latin. That was good European stuff too.
Yeah, but we really have kept that one going. A lot of.
I don't understand why people.
I don't know. Do the money dance. Don't be stupid.
Dance. Cash, right there.
Yeah, cash money. Oh yeah, and then we left it back in LA when we went on our honeymoon because we didn't want to take it with us. But oh yeah, we were in and out of our reception like in an hour and a half, 2 hours.
And yeah, you make some good money. How much did we make?
$1,300 and something back in 1989.
That was a nice amount.
Yeah. We did really well. Yeah, no, we did. We left our reception. I mean, we got married in the late afternoon. Our reception was in the evening, and then we were on the road because we were honeymooning in Santa Barbara and Carmel. So we were on the road before 10 o'clock.
Yeah, in the evening.
In the evening. So, and that included. I mean, we did everything. We cut the cake. We didn't eat. That was the only thing we did.
There wasn't.
But the whole point of it was we did this big thing.
So, white dress?
That took, the only time, 20 feet. I had a 20-foot train.
She was beautiful.
Only because he liked, you know, he always thought that was very pretty. And so I did that for him. I did not wear a veil over my face because I just wouldn't do it, even though I had all these women saying, "Oh, you have to," and it's like, you're lucky I'm in the white dress, you know. I mean, anyway.
So the point of all of this is that we did the traditional wedding thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So we've been there. So to talk about weddings, it's not like we got married in front of a justice of the peace, which we would have been very happy with. But no, we didn't. We got married in front of a priest in a big church. Which according to the statistics, what is it? 53% of all weddings take place in churches. You know, only 6% of people actually avail themselves of justice of the peace.
Right.
You know, and I remember that feeling of like, you know, your stomach just dropping when we went to go get our license, and for $10 extra we could have gotten married right there.
Yeah.
It was like $40
in total.
It was $40 for the license or something like that, and then no, it wasn't. It was $25 for the license and $10 more if you wanted to get married right there. And it's like, are you shitting me?
Right. And this was already in like 10 months worth of planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More so, no, because we got our license like right before the wedding.
Okay, so 11 months of planning.
Yeah, so, something like that.
Almost went over the counter at the person, actually.
It was just one of those. We just looked at each other for a long time and said, you know, we could just do it now and get it over with, and
crush our parents, or at least half of our parents.
You know, it would have been actually. In retrospect, we should have just done it for us, and then.
Yeah, that's probably true.
For $10, we should have just done it.
Yeah,
I mean, gosh. Oh, we didn't.
We'll go do it again.
Yeah, we'll go back to the Torrance courthouse and get our license again.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's so amazing, and in retrospect, is the fact that we spent so much money, 10 months, 11 months worth of work, which the average is about a year for your wedding. Average money spent $19,000-$20,000 a year. I mean, $20,000 for a wedding, and that's the current average now.
So it's about a half of most of the people's take-home pay.
Yeah.
For a year.
I mean, it's like they say, you know, for the engagement ring, spend 2 months worth of your salary. For the wedding, apparently, it's half of your yearly intake. And and creating all of this. And how much time are you spending planning your marriage?
Right.
It's like all this time and money invested in a wedding that happens like this, and the only thing you have left over is bills and pictures. What?
Yeah. Oh, she regrets not going to Vegas, and having the big wedding. 2 years of planning and fighting with my mom. I regret the money spent. Can you tell I have regrets?
Yes. You know, that's what's so sad, because most of us do regret that. It's like, you know, just to think, wow, if I could have that money in my pocket right now, you know, you spend $20,000 on a wedding, and guess what the average married couple spends on enhancing and strengthening their marriage? Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. Absolutely nothing. So it's like we just want to get married for the photo op, and assume that this part, the daily living stuff, the stuff that we have to go through, is the easy part.
Right.
No, honey, the easy part was that horrible fiasco called your wedding. Now, our wedding apparently was very fun, and everybody enjoyed it. Paul and I, like I said, it was a mission. It was get in, get out, get unscathed. Let's go start our life. I don't want to ever have to deal with this crap again.
Now, admittedly, for us, it ultimately was a bonding moment.
But we bonded against everybody else.
That's right, which is kind of our theme in our marriage anyhow.
Right.
Well, that wasn't purposeful and that wasn't planned. That just happened to be, you know,
well, I mean, I think
the seeds of where we were, our marriage.
People often ask us, you know, what makes us different, and I think what makes us different is that we bonded over talking.
Yes.
That we've done everything through a very long conversation. You know, the way that we connected was talking until 6 o'clock in the morning. The way that he decided to have sex the first time was almost like a corporate meeting, you know. I mean, it was like, okay, so what are you going to do? This is what I plan on doing. This is good. And it's always been, you know, we always feel comfortable in the range of discussing things to, you know, it might sound very cold and intellectual, and actually it's more intimate than just getting down to it, you know. I mean, it's really being trustful enough that you can speak your mind, and being vulnerable enough to being open to hearing, you know, what they want, what they don't want, you know, the setting of boundaries and things like that. So, if anything, that is our secret. Is it communication? It's beyond that. You know, communication is, you know, is really like, you know,
it is communication, but not in this whitewashed way that we use the word communication nowadays.
Exactly.
You know, it wasn't just me speaking into air and nobody listening.
Right. It was very much a very complete cycle of communication. Right. There was active listening, there was effective communication, and that's what's all of our stuff is like that. So we're just, I mean, I will say it. I mean, I think that we're just lucky we found somebody that was willing to do that.
Right.
So,
and that's the thing, Angela. I can see that in you and Caesar. I can see it in this chat. The way, you know, I mean, obviously, the fact that you're both there, you know, off the chat talking to us, it's like there is a bondedness.
You know, and I think that's,
and it becomes very obvious.
Yeah, and I think that that's what separates, you know, the wheat from the chaff. Really, you know, when you find a couple that says, "Oh no, we really don't talk," you know, one of the things that I realized during the wedding planning, you know, Paul, obviously, with all of his fashion sense and, you know, his ability to match, really wasn't that involved in the actual planning. What he was involved with was keeping me sane.
Yes.
That was his job. And, you know, I like planning. I'm a girl. I like planning things. I like doing things like that.
And you're good at it.
Yeah, and I'm very good at it. It was extremely stressful. But one of the things that I realized was that he was my rock. That I was in a, that I was in a sea full of crazy, and that we were each other's island. And that on that island was the sanity. And then if I dived in with everybody else, that's when I would go crazy. And that when I was with him, then I can stop. I could stop the chatter in my head. I could stop the craziness of the family pushing at me and wanting this or wanting that. I didn't really have. My mom was very laissez-faire about it. She was just like, look, you want to go to Tahoe? Let's go to Tahoe.
Right.
You want to do this? Let's go to.
That was my dad.
Yeah, like, and then I had, my dad saying, oh no, I need, Fulano de Tal to be invited because we used to do this business and blah, 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 and I'm like, Dad, how do you know what the hell that is? And they don't know us. And I would have this, like, constant bickering with him. And then my sister, who was my matron of honor, and it was like, oh. And then going to his house, I would meet his mom, and she would talk to me about, receiving lines and crap like that. I'm like, honey, we don't do that. So, it was like this constant bombardment of crap, and the only time I could feel sane was when we were just alone together, where we would talk.
And that's the thing, Angela and Caesar, because I kind of, we know some of your backstory. We know that you guys had the, we'll call it an opportunity to make that conscious decision of it's us against everybody else.
Yeah, it really is.
The other people are crazy, and we are going to be a team.
Right. So, but you know what? I think that's the only way that you could say that you have a happy marriage. If you are in team and league with your husband, then you're not competing against him. You are not, it's like, and that is most couples out there. And I'm saying that as a therapist. What I have found when I was in therapy with people was that there was always this competition between the husband and the wife. And there was no idea of teamwork between them. And the reason why you get into argument is because you're constantly trying to one-up the person, and you're constantly trying to beat the person, and you're trying to win a conversation, a discussion, an argument, whatever. And that doesn't exist. And the way that you know that a marriage isn't going to work really is when you're planning the damn wedding. And if there's so much tension between you guys because you want it this way and he wants it that way, stop.
And see, that's the thing, is that because of the way we approach weddings now, it is all about basically the woman plans it, the guy goes and does something else, and really it's very separate. Yeah,
it's very separate, and it also tends to be this thing of, there's a micromanaging style as opposed to a macromanaging style, and
there's definitely no team.
And there's definitely no team to it. It's team wife side, team groom side. That's what it really is. And at the end of it, it's like, oh, we just want to have a big old party. And, I didn't understand that either. I didn't want to be part of the party. I'm sorry. Because he does things like that. Anyway, we're talking about a $40 billion a year industry. Okay? Weddings are the thing. Girls are socialized to want that white wedding. We are socialized to dream about the white wedding. It's really, really sad. Unlike
we're supposed not to care.
Yeah, and because the wedding is for the wife, because she's the and that goes back to the archetype thing. Because one of my shadows is being invisible and all that good stuff. Yeah, that's another thing altogether, and that's more of our deep therapy stuff. Anyway.
Okay, I'm sorry, Angela, what do you mean by really, is it really that much? I missed something.
It's a $40 billion a year industry.
Billion, yep.
Look it up. You have how many wedding types of magazines? Those are considered the top magazines. Okay, you have Brides Magazine, you have The Knot, which is almost overtaking Brides Magazine. And I think it's not to like say it live, and you know, you didn't hear from me, but Not is, I think, is a better magazine.
Yeah, I mean,
and the sad thing is that even though I don't believe in any of this crap, I like looking at those things. You know,
it taps right into
that. It's like almost like this core nugget thing. You know, like, oh my god. Mm-hmm. You know, and then you look at the dress and you're like, okay, that's really pretty, and you look at another dress, I don't really like that. But I go back to the same point. We spend so much money on this crap. How much time does an engaged couple spend in preparing for marriage? We spend a year preparing for one day, and we spend no time preparing for a lifetime.
Even our vocabulary doesn't. I mean, we talk about, you know, that we want to have a beautiful wedding, but people don't talk about having a beautiful marriage.
No.
It's all of our vocabulary is about the wedding.
Mm-hmm. Everything. It's like, oh, you're getting married, fantastic.
Right.
Yeah, but they don't give a crap when you've been married for 2 years and have, like, you know, gone through like the, you know, some of the hardest times that you're going to spend in your marriage. You know, it's like, and they don't. Nobody tells you that. You know, everybody. I mean, I remember, you know, when we were going through it. You know, the first 2 years of marriage, it was like, oh wow, you're in your honeymoon phase. There is no such thing as a honeymoon phase. The first 2 years of marriage, as a therapist, seeing it, I know, and living it, obviously, the first 2 years are the hardest years.
Yes.
The idea that it being a total, excuse me, fuckfest is really just bull. It's not. I mean, yeah, sure, you probably have more sex in your first 2 years than you do, you know,
yeah, before
average-wise, you know, but the realities of setting the boundaries, getting into the routine, learning the way that, how to live with one another as a married couple. And I'm not talking people living together, because I think we've mentioned this before. Living together before you get married is not a healthy thing to do. I mean, statistically, it just does not bear it out. You know, it's like, if you have kids, I'm sorry, I just dropped my notes. If you have kids, really strongly suggest not to do that, because it's not healthy. It creates very bad habits. The statistics show that if you are living together with somebody for less than a year before you get married, you might be okay. Okay, you might have the same kind of chances that someone who didn't live together. Okay, that's less than a year. If you go over that year, your chances of success in marriage plummet to half of what the average is. So then you have a 25% chance of surviving. That's scary. That's really scary. That's like, you don't even have, you have a 1 in 25 chance of surviving your marriage.
So, which is, okay, so you need to understand that we are actually a fan of the wedding.
Yeah.
In that we do believe in the part where you stand up and you say, this shit's mine, you know, I'm taking all of this.
I claim
this. I claim the right. And you make the statement. You make the commitment that you are married and you are going to stay married. So we do believe in the wedding part. It's just the overall focus and the way that we basically let it run its course. It's taken really away from that claim.
Okay, but is it the living together itself, or does it just say more about the people who choose not to live together, in some cases more religious? No, actually, contrary. Okay, people who are more religious have a higher chance of getting divorced.
It depends on what, because I've looked at different studies on that.
Actually, I mean, but generally speaking, people who are more religious tend to get married when they're younger.
Right.
And because of that, they tend to get divorced earlier. People who choose not to live together tend to put more emphasis on the idea of getting married. And people who live together see marriage as really just a contractual difference between living together and being married.
It's a really commitment.
Yeah, it's the idea. It's a mindset, and that's what screws people up. When you live together, you have one foot out the door. Whether you acknowledge it, whether you say it or not, in your mind, in your subconscious, you know you could leave whenever you want to. The moment that the contract comes into play. And I'm using the word contract because of the way that we feel about marriage equality and crap like that. Because marriage is really your commitment to somebody. You know, that's how I feel about it in my heart. The way that we see it in, you know, in real life is that it's a contract. As soon as you're put into that contract where you can't get out of it, you know, it's almost like, you know, owing money to the mob. If you have to do something drastic to get out, it puts a very different kind of pressure on the relationship. A pressure that you haven't been preparing for. You know, marriage is not living together.
Right.
Marriage is more than that. And it always has been.
Now, as far as the statistics of marriage and religiosity, the two differences is if the couple comes from a very religious background, but does not perform specific religious rituals in
like
their marriage, those ones get divorced.
Right. If you say you're really like religious, but you don't go to mass on Sunday,
right?
Then that pseudo religiousness is what gets you.
Right. Or even if, let's say, I go to mass on Sunday at noon, and she goes to mass in Saturday evening, that would be an indicator of a higher divorce rate. The people who have lower divorce rates are people who are highly religious and perform the ceremonies together.
Right.
Okay, so get up in the morning, they pray together, go to church together, that kind of stuff. Now,
however, those are also the ones that tend to have the most dysfunction and tend to be more kinky.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different topic.
You know, it's so much fun to be us and read all this crap.
Right. My opinion, and I haven't read too much on on journal articles with this, but my opinion is that really isn't a function of the religion as much as it is a function of them doing something together. We are of the mind that anything that bonds you as a married entity, and then everybody else, is going to strengthen the marriage. And that's basically, if you're getting up every day and praying together, then that is us as a married entity are going to talk to God.
Right.
That's pretty damn bonding.
I think that it's interesting. I think that when a couple's going to fail, when the way that people identify them. In other words, we're identified as Lee and Paul.
Yeah, always.
Always. It's not even. It's funny because we were watching a video the other day of my family. It was my family and a bunch of other people that we were visiting Catalina, and this was back in 1990. Well, before Jeannie, so it was like 91, 92. Okay.
We were definitely in the.
We were in the honeymoon period, whatever. Paul had been in. Yeah, Paul and I had been married only maybe a couple of years. My parents only knew Paul a year before, so like maybe they had known him for like 3 years.
Right.
Okay. The movie went on and on and on. I mean, it's like, good Lord, it was like, it was like our whole trip there. Now, we used to go to Catalina all the time. Yeah. My dad had a boat that was, like in the summertime, every weekend we'd spend it in Catalina. And, his boat was big enough that we actually slept in it and all that good stuff. So, throughout the movie, it was, when they would talk about my sister, they would talk about her as by her name. And they would say things like, oh, something, Aida. And her name is Aida, but my mother would call her Aida. Anyway, does call her that. Anyway, so then, but when they would talk about me or refer to me, it was always Lee and Paul.
Always.
As if we were connected at the hip.
Yes.
And it was.
She had her husband there.
She had her husband there too.
Never mentioned in the same sentence.
I don't think they mentioned him at all. Even though you saw him in the video, even though there was actual direct contact with him in the video, his name is never mentioned. Which is really fascinating. I mean, it's like we were watching that and it was like this, wow, it was like this sociological, and it's really, there was like scenes where he's like holding her hand and they're walking through the thing and they're still just talking to Heidi. The video, I mean, it's like only directed at her. Whenever we would be in the screen together, it would always be the two of us.
Right.
It wasn't like I could be talking, but they would show both of us. And it's like, for some reason, it's something that connection is picked up by people, and I think it's a very subconscious thing. You know, it's like, this is a team, this is a unit, you know, and you address it as such. When people see it differently, you know, it's like even couples, you know, when, you know, you say, well, I have to live my life and he lives his life, and we get together, and, you know, like when people say, oh, you do separate vacations and all that. I think, you know, as a therapist, you know, I have on many occasions prescribed couples to separate. I have told them to spend time apart, to, you know, to not have contact with each other and all that. That has been specifically only to work out individual boundaries before returning to the unit. Anything else done in the marriage that is done separately, I feel very uncomfortable about. And it's not because of my own marriage, it's just the idea of breaking up the unit. And I'm not saying that don't have your friends and whatever. I mean, we have our friends, we do our separate things. But it's really the idea that, you know, if Paul came with me to be around my friends, would it be like, oh, he's here? Or is it just like, oh yeah, he's here? Like, you know, there's something to be said about that. Anyway, I just found that fascinating. That was 20 years ago when those videos were taken, and I don't think that's changed. I don't. The whole idea of Lee and Paul.
Yeah.
And people, and actually, it was who was it that recently asked us, why don't you guys go by Paul and Lee?
Yeah.
Somebody said that, and Paul goes, because it doesn't work that way.
It's Lee and Paul.
It's Lee and Paul. The team.
Now, by way of separate vacations, because he's just asking what do we think, it's like, separate vacations aren't bad as long as it's purposeful.
Yeah,
as long as you know why you're doing it.
You know, and I don't subscribe to it. I mean, it's like, okay, I used to go on a lot of business trips, and Paul has done his share of business trips as well. I hated it. I hated it. The idea of being somewhere really nice without him, for me, is like, you know, it really would knock down how much nicer the place is. And we've been, I mean, you know, like when Paul went to Kentucky once for some sort of like training thing.
Right.
And he's like, you know, driving through like the rolling hills of Kentucky.
I fell in love with Kentucky.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful.
And he spent all the time calling me and talking to me because it was so beautiful. And the idea of not sharing that with me was, you know, repulsive to you, wasn't it?
It was very sad.
It was very sad to him.
Yeah, it's one of those, you know, that's why I say purposeful. Because, you know, why is it that you want to do a separate vacation? Are you trying to get away from the person? Because if you are, then that's probably indicative of a problem in the marriage. That's
something, you know, like, oh, you know, separate, what is it? Distance makes the heart grow fonder. And too much and it wanders. If your marriage can handle being apart from each other, then that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing. You know, that you're not enmeshed and whatever. We can separate, and that's cool. You know, we can do that. I could work a party, and he could be on the other side. That's fine too. We just like being together. We like it. We like, you know, approaching things together as a team. You know, the idea of going to one of these conferences that we go to, like the blogging conferences, just me, wouldn't even occur to me.
Yeah,
because it wouldn't be as fun without him. Because he is my friend, and he is the one I want to share things with. So, but I think a lot of that has to do with concentrating more on our marriage than we did on our wedding. And we did that before we got married. And I think it's like, what were the statistics that you found? It was like only 7-8 states require, 7 or 8 states, that was, what was it, 8 or 7? I don't remember.
I don't know, what's the
premarital stuff.
7.
7 states are not require, but they give you a break.
Incentive. Right.
They give you a break. You pay less for your marriage license.
There's a few of them that require premarital counseling if you are under 18, like Florida, for example. Right. If you're under 18, I didn't know that until recently.
And if you're divorced, they also they require some classes as well, but not require. They recommend.
Recommend, yes.
Yeah, but then you have you know, so basically in most states you could just show up and then boom, you're married. And I find that so sad. You know, I find it, you know, once again, very American and ass backwards. And stuff that gets me in trouble. The idea that, you know, that's not important. That, oh yeah, that crap takes care of itself. We actually took the time and discussed things. Now, one of the things that we did this week was we wrote down some of the things that you should know about each other. No, we didn't. We never did it. We never got to it because we did. No, we never got to it because it was supposed to be posted today, and instead we wrote about gay suicide because I got upset.
That's right.
And I can do what I want. There you go. I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but anyway.
No, the idea is that we don't put any emphasis on it. We don't, as a society, we don't say to a couple getting married, oh my God, that's great. What are you doing to plan for your marriage? It's more like, hey, when are you going to have your wedding? What are you going to do? Where is it going to be?
And we use all of this weird statistics and vocabulary to go around actually doing anything. Like, okay, 50% of all marriages end in divorce. Everybody says that one. Everybody knows that one. That, you know, marriage is hard work. Okay, say that all the time. That's the first advice you're going to get is that, ooh, you have to work at it. Marriage is hard work. And then if you turn around and go, okay, so what should I be working at?
I don't know.
I haven't done that.
What do you mean work?
Great. I just know it's hard work.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot easier if you would have actually talked about it before you got married.
Yeah. And I love the way, I mean, it's like really hard work. Like, do you sweat? Yeah. You know, I mean, what do you, I mean, because work is a scientific word, obviously, and work is a measurement of energy. And what kind of energy are you putting into the marriage?
Yeah.
You know?
Talk about it and don't do anything with it.
Yeah. I mean, what does it mean? You know, it's like I know what it takes to plan a wedding. You know, I know that you need to have, you know, who's going to marry you, where are you going to end up afterwards, how many people you're going to invite, blah, blah, blah. I know the work there.
Yeah.
What work is it going to take to keep this going? It's like, what kind of gasoline does this take? You know, and I don't think that we teach our kids anything about that. I don't think that we teach our kids anything about... I mean, actually, I have told my daughter I would rather pay for your premarital counseling and, you know, getting you guys happy and healthy than a wedding.
Yeah.
I would rather you do that for 6 months and then elope. Because
really, statistically speaking, it's a whole lot cheaper.
Talking about Jeannie getting married, I get it.
Yeah, it's really a whole lot cheaper than putting out, you know, $20,000 for a wedding, and then 4 years down the line having to, you know, fix your daughter because
she got divorced. Yeah, and her heart was broken. Yeah. And plus, I get a discount, you know.
That's true. Flash therapy card.
Yeah, because I got that flashing therapy card.
Yeah.
I just, you know, these are one of the topics that just get me really pissed. You know, it's like, we're right. Okay, I know, seriously. Well, I think this is a good time to introduce the concept. We're writing our book that we're writing, our nonfiction book that we're writing, that we're pitching to agents and all that. Is really the idea that love ain't enough. You know, it takes more than that. Just because you love somebody doesn't mean you should be married to them. You know, when you say things like this is hard work, it's only because you picked the wrong person.
Yeah, right.
That sounds really mean.
But
you
this
know,
has not been hard work.
This has not been hard work because we're both working towards the same goal. It's like, it's hard work when you both are like working like that against each other. It's hard work if you want to get to, to this place and I want to get to this place, and you got to support one another and all that. That becomes hard work. But being married, being with someone that you love and you feel that you're a friend and sharing your life with that person and supporting one another and like helping each other out, that's easy.
Right.
That's easy in my opinion. And calling it hard work is one of those things, like letting the negative really dictate the opinion of people about marriage.
Mm-hmm.
If it's hard work, it's because you're not into it.
Right.
It's like that concept of, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Marry someone that you love and respect and adore and you want to be friends with for the rest of your life, and you'll never work on your marriage.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, we should write that one down.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's really what it is. So I mean, Caesar and Angela, you guys have been married 19 years. Would you agree with that? Has it been hard work
between the two of you?
Mm-hmm.
Because
no.
Yeah.
You and him against the world. I get it.
Right.
But has it been hard work? It has been.
Yeah.
Well, seriously?
Yeah.
It's been hard to stay married, or is it hard to deal with the world?
And again, this could be definitely putting him on the spot.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. No.
Yes. No.
Dude.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
What was the question again?
Plead the fifth. Plead the fifth. I refuse to answer. With that family, it was work.
Yes.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying.
Family,
it's like,
right.
But that's not your marriage. That's you and your partner against the world.
Right.
If this is cool, I mean, like this has always been our priority. If this is cool, I could care less.
Right.
See, between. You know what? It's like, I think that one of the problems I have with the word work, hopeful girl, is the idea that we have such a negative connotation to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have we worked on ourselves? Definitely. I've worked on myself. He's worked on himself. And we've brought that together. Has it been difficult to keep this going? No. Has it been work to keep it going? Only in that I worked at not going crazy and he's worked at not going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But we've never been in therapy together for marital problems because we've spent so much time being in therapy individually.
Dealing with our own stuff.
So keeping ourselves healthy so we could actually be good partners.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Mostly. Yeah, it is very subjective, but it's like if you look at, the work, it's subjective only because we've made it that way. But if you look at the word work and you look at the definition of work, work is a certain amount of energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scientific term when we talk about the energy we put into things. We have to come up with a different word. Yeah, yes, I think that being involved,
mm-hmm.
Not taking it for granted. Those are all words that I would prefer. Have I been involved in my marriage? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Have I taken it for granted? Not a day. I know I'm damn lucky to be married.
And this goes right back to the theme. No, this goes really right back to the theme, though, of the priority of a wedding, because one of the things that I feel people should do before they get married is come up with those definitions. There's a lot of definitions. There's a lot of words that we banty around that we don't know what they mean.
Bandy.
Okay.
Bandy.
It's panty, whatever. Throw around that we don't know what they mean.
Like panty.
Yes. But it's like work, as in work on our marriage.
Right.
Love,
Yeah. I love you. Now they're yelling at me like that.
Yeah. There's a lot of those that it would be very nice to know before before you get
Set
married.
the rules.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's what, we did, we were married in the Catholic Church, so we had to do an engagement encounter thing. And, that was part of getting married. And we had to spend time talking to the priest who was going to marry us, too. Which, of course, it's like, back to, like, one of the sayings that I learned from my mother. It's a Cuban saying, but it's like, what does a donkey know about toothpaste? That's pretty much, what did the priest know about?
About marriage.
About marriage. It's like, here's a man who's committed to have a solitary life, and he's going to tell me about marriage. But one of the great things of doing the premarital, the engagement encounter, was talking about the things that you didn't really think about talking about. Like, how many kids do you want to have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These are things that people don't talk about. It's like, oh yeah, we both love kids. Yeah, it's great, love kids.
How many?
How many? What are you going to do when they don't behave? How are you going to discipline them?
Right.
What kind of a united front or not are you going to do? How do you feel about the grandparents? Do you think that the grandparents getting into the nitty-gritty and just starting the conversations. They were like conversation starters, because we'd have to write something and then we'd have to talk about it and really get into things like, well, what is our plan of action if one of us wants to have sex and the other one doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do about that?
Right.
And these were actual questions that we had to deal with during that weekend. A weekend doesn't seem like much, but we spent so much of that weekend discussing things like, well, I never really thought about that. How many times a week do you plan on having sex? How do you want to deal with the bills and things like that? That's marriage. That's the nitty-gritty, set the rules down kind of things for marriage. Like a bishop or a priest taught marriage and family. Yes.
That's true. Yes.
It's true. We had marriage and family taught to us by, I had Father Nisita. Actually, Father Nisita was pretty cool.
I had
Father Alphonse?
Yeah, mine
You had
was
Alphonse was bad. You knew Alphonse was doing something else.
Oh, yeah, really bad.
So, that's really what people should be doing.
So, yeah, before looking at white dresses and halls, it should be, coming up with what marriage even is for you.
Right. I think that's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. But I think that we will come up with a good 50 things you just should discuss.
Yes.
Before you get married.
Yeah.
And we will do that and put that on our blog.
Yeah, we need it for the book anyhow.
We need it for the book
yes.
anyhow.
Yeah.
You're going to make me write those, right?
2 minutes.
You're going to make me write that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got like 2 minutes.
Okay,
what are we talking about
next week on Relationship Rehab, how to spot them. How to spot what, you ask? The crazy people.
Oh, yeah.
How to sniff them out of a group, how to, before it's like a lot of people come to us and say, we were great, well, all of a sudden this person just flipped on us. You know what? Mm-hmm. We're going to tell you how to see them before they flip on you.
Mm-hmm.
What to look out for. We'll be writing about it all next week on Couple Them.
And one of the scary ones is we'll even talk about how to know if your kid is not quite. Not quite right.
As a parent, you really should know. And one of the things as parents we have to just toss is denial.
Yeah.
It's like, accept the reality and move forward anyway.
Right.
And, we know this. We are the parents of a disabled child, blind, hard of hearing with, Asperger's.
Yeah.
So,
it's
not like we're going to...
Doesn't work.
Denial does not work at all. So,
yeah. They've decided they don't do crazy anymore.
And that is, I think that the best commitment that you could do for yourself is not to do crazy anymore. Because I just, no. So we have next week's show, and then we're going to be on vacation because we will be, for the next week we will be in Vegas. So, for Blog World. And so we're very excited about it. So we got one more week, and then we'll take a week off. Yay! Very exciting. Very exciting.
And I guess that's it.
We thank you all for being here. Love you guys. Bye, Caesar and Angela, and Hopeful Girl. Thank you for coming and all that.
Hopeful Girl was Angela.
Oh, that's you. I don't know.